Hey, it's your friendly neighborhood counselor, Dr. Will, and welcome to the Heal Always podcast, wellness and welcomes to you all. I'm so excited that you came back. I hope you came back. If you don't know the last episode, please go back and then come to this one because we're going to be we're building on top of these. So all these are all building. So if you did not see the last one, go back one and then come here because we're building, we're growing, we're healing together. This is a healing journey. A bunch of side quests have been happening. I am so happy to be here. I'm so excited and joyful because we're really doing this work, y'all. So this is good. So I'm with you. I'm for you. Make sure you have your tea with you. Make sure you have your purpose paper and purpose pen, and also your water if you need water. It's really important because as you're thinking, you need to hydrate. And also, drinking water and tea is actually great for breathing as well. So it reminds you to breathe. So before I get started, I'm going to have some of my tea real quick. And I hope and I invite you to also take your drink and also take a breath. So if you remember last time, follow my hand. Ready? Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. We're going to hold this time. Breathe in. Hold. One more. You got this. Good. Good job. Great job sticking through with that. So, from the last episode, we talked about reset, removing every saturation, embrace truth, the reset modality, right? The healing modality. We talked about the world, the relationship, the self. We talked about moral distress, what that means. We also talked about traditional, holistic, and how we're changing trauma into purpose, illness into wellness, how we need to reconstruct or reevaluate how we see healing. And I gave you the healing modalities, the healing modals, right? So let me go back to my notes real quick. We went back to how we have 8, right? So for those of you that did not want to go back, okay, if that's fine, I'm not judging. I'm listening and I'm understanding and I'm processing. We don't listen and we don't judge. I listen and I process, okay? So the first one is physical health, right? The second one is emotional health. Love that one. Third one is social health, right? Fourth one is environmental health. Fifth one is educational health. The sixth one is financial, occupational health. 7 is family health. And then 8 is spiritual. And I remember on the side quest, we were talking about how I wanted to make a little pie chart, or if you were feeling spicy, we could do the 9 squares and you write all around it and then put the word YOU in the middle for yourself. So whichever one you did, doesn't matter. Whatever you did is fine. I think the biggest thing is that today we're going to be going through each of the modals. So each healing modal we're going to go through. And I'm going to explain each one so you have an understanding. Okay? So get you a new piece of paper. What I'm going to hope to do is for each page, you're going to put them in half. So the top half of the page is going to be one. The second half of the page will be the other modal. I hope you have your affirmation today as well. If you need an affirmation, let me know. I can bring my own deck. I have my own deck if you want me to bring those in. So maybe I'll bring that in afterwards, after we do this so we can get into that. But for now, let's do this. So on the top, let's put physical. So your physical modal, right? So when I talk about physical health, I don't mean just like how strong am I or like how much can you deadlift, bro? Like I don't mean that. Um, I also really care about how you present your body externally and internally, your input and your output. So let's just start externally and then we'll work our way out. No, I might go from the inside out, but today we're gonna go from the outside in. So you wanna think about this. How's my hair look, right? Do I like the way my hair is? Do I like the way that my glasses are? Do I like the way that my shirt is? Do I like the way that my necklace is? Do I like the way that my sweater is? Do I like the way that my beads are? My ring, right? My pants, my shoes, my socks. It's important to understand that what we present ourselves with can create the conversation in itself. And it sounds like it's shallow, right? Like is my hairline, is it there, right? Like is it there? Do I have a hairline, right? That matters because the truth is that how we present ourselves is also how we are going to be received. Doesn't matter what your intentions are. Unfortunately, not everybody has the same depth as you, which is why art is such a beautiful thing in this world. Art allows us to present and represent and symbolize ourselves in ways that sometimes we can't as human beings. And so it gives us a second language, which is why it's so important that you always do some type of art because it gives you another language, right? Right. So it's important to understand how your presentation is also your art as well. So shout out to artists, right? And also becoming artists and new artists and familiar artists as well. And the consumers of artists, right? Pay artists. So it's important to understand that we have this beautiful presentation. Now, let's get to the second part of external, our body. How do your muscles feel? How does your skin feel? How do your joints feel? Right? How do our bodies feel? Right? It's important to understand that the way that we feel our bodies is another type of connection in language, right? Body language is everything. If I sat here like this, it may not be the best way to do a podcast, right? And so it's important to understand we have a presentation of our bodies, how we sit, how we present ourselves, how we have our stature, how we have our chin up, how we have our shoulders back, our stomachs in, right? Knees bent, right? We have to present ourselves. Also understand that the way that our body feels, not everybody can have the same flexibility, right? That's why it's so important to have yoga and stretches, and working out because we have to be in tune with our bodies. That's why I love athletes so much. There's so much intimacy with athletes, right? You have to know your body. How does your body, and everybody's body's different, right? So they took so much time in learning their bodies, right? Muscle builders, right? Bodybuilders. They take time to really learn what makes their body what it is. And they invest in that. It's a beautiful experience to see the process and the growth. It's you loved your body that much to get into that, right? And also, if your body isn't like that, well, what do you need from your body to feel the way that you need to feel seen, right? Just because you don't have, a 12 pack or a 16 pack, right? You're not looking like Broly, right, from DBZ. Like just because you don't look like that doesn't mean you don't love your body, right? So how do you love your body, right? How do I love my body, right? And so it's important to understand that there's an external way about this, how you feel. If you feel stress in your body, do you feel connected to that? Did you look into that? Also, an external way of looking at your body is also, are you going to see a doctor, a nutritionist, dietitian, optometrist, right? There's all these other types of healers, right? Ayurvedic, right? Massage therapists, right? There are different types of professionals that focus on the body and how it interacts. Your understanding of your body is so important, right? Your gut health is essential to your livelihood. And your gut health and your brain health are so connected, right? Do you see a doctor for that? So it's so important that we have even like functional medicine. It's so important that we take time out to understand that there is a whole nother world that is functioning outside of us that's coming to us. And we need to learn how to translate that. And also the food that you eat. They always say you are what you eat. And if you're anything like me, like being a blurred, being a nerd, gamer and all that, I love gaming food. So I had to reset how I ate gaming food, right? Because I realized that when I ate healthier food, I was able to stay up later and play games longer at night. But then I had to get my sleep. That's another part. What's your sleep hygiene? Have you ever thought about sleep hygiene? Right? I always think about like body hygiene, right? Making sure, the skin's clear and, you have acne and these things, but also the sleep hygiene. It's how well do you rest your body? Are you in dark spaces? Do you sleep long enough? Do you not sleep enough? Do you move too much in your sleep? Do you snore? There are so many things to consider about sleep hygiene. Do you take a shower before you go to sleep? So all these things are such essential components to your physical health. Hey, we still got 7 more of these modalities. I haven't even gotten to the inside of the body yet. So now that we understand that there's an external world that we have to take care of, now there's an internal world, right? So do you understand your blood? What does your blood say about you? What does your nervous system say about you? Right? What does your skeletal muscle system say about you? What are your organs saying to you? Your body is speaking to you before you even say a word. Do you listen to it? If you keep ignoring your body's working so hard to keep you going and it's adjusting to what you put it through. Let me say that again. Your body is adjusting to what you're putting it through. It's very important to understand that. You are responsible for your body, which means people cannot invade that, assume control over that. You're responsible for your body, and you cannot let other people take that over. Your body is truly a gift, and we have to learn how to love and nourish and cherish and respect that. And it's a hard thing to do in this world, especially dealing with moral distress, knowing the right thing to do, but because of a barrier of constraints, you're unable to perform at your best. And that causes a lot of confusion sometimes about how we should love ourselves. And our relationships kind of adjust that too. So, do you feel safe in your body? Do you want to feel safe in your body? And do you have the people around you to help that? And we'll get into that too, because that's one of the healing modalities. So, that's the physical health. So I'm checking in on how is your physical health? So these are the things that you should be thinking about when it comes to physical health. Your output and your input, your external and your internal world, right? So I hope that made sense. Now, let's go to number 2. There's going to be a lot, y'all. It's good, though. You breathing with me? Do we need to breathe? You good? You good? Okay. All right. So next one, emotional health. So this is about stress. How well do I function with stress? How well do I not function with stress? In Reset, we understand that stress is a wellness currency. So in Reset, we understand that stress is a wellness currency. So what that means is stress is not good or bad. It is. And it is ever present, whether you like it or not. And so stress is a natural biological experience. If we don't understand stress, we would never know our limits. We would never know our capacity. And a lot of us have stretched our stress way longer than it should have been. And so there is a patience, a tolerance, and an endurance that has been overridden. And we need to understand what our stress is putting us through and what we're putting our stress through. You see how we think differently, right? So when I ask you, how is your stress doing? It's really at me asking you, what are you putting yourself through that you know you shouldn't? What are you putting yourself through that's making you not say, I need to take a break? What are you putting yourself through that's making you not say the big word, no? What are you putting yourself through that's making you say, I can't rest right now? So it's understanding that you have a capability and a capacity. So In Reset, we say that your capability is not your availability. And so just because you're capable of doing things doesn't mean you should be available for it. And so stress is a great reminder of how you need to be in your limited greatness. So I hope that your stress is being well protected and nurtured. So the question for that one is, how are you treating your stress today? Good? All right. Next up, turn the page. Ooh, social health. Okay. Yes, word. All right. So when it comes to social health, okay, what I mean is not how sociable are you. I mean your relationships. So many times our social health is determined by how good, fair, or poor we hold relationships. Many people are like, oh, I'm an introvert, I'm an extrovert. For me, I am an extroverted introvert. What that means is that my lifestyle is extremely extroverted, but I do not have the capacity to really be there. And so for me, I kind of just like, when I'm out, I'm like, boom, it's like a firework. Everything's happening all at once. And I do that because if I sit too long in a large space, I just get so overwhelmed. And so when I go home, I'm very isolated in my own little basement and just doing things. But I'm either the life of the party or I am the crab of the shell, right? So I really take time to understand that I have brief moments of experience. And so your social health is understanding, what relationships am I in? What relationships do I occupy? What relationships mean a lot to me? What relationships don't mean a lot, but I feel obligated? And what relationships am I trying to maintain? What relationships am I trying to nurture? And what relationships am I trying to learn from? So I hope that you can go back real quick and listen to that again. But those are important things to consider during your side quests. Next up, environmental. So this one's a little difficult. Sometimes it's not about who you are, it's about where you are. So it's important to understand that your space is your soil. Your identity is your root. Your branches and your leaves are your behaviors, traits, and activity. And sometimes you may be active in places that you should not be active in, right? Don't you hate being invited to a place you're not welcome? Isn't that the worst? Oh, it's like, why would you invite me here knowing I wasn't that person? Or like, hey, when you come here, make sure you don't. If you have to make sure something about me, then why would you bring me here? So it's important to really get it together. And so I need us to understand that sometimes it's not about who you are, it's about where you are. So ask yourself, does this place celebrate who I am or what I'm doing? Does this place honor the time I have? How long do I need to be here to feel seen? Why don't I feel seen here? Is this a space where I feel like I have to perform? Give yourself a time limit. I'm going to give myself 45 minutes, and that timer goes off, you leave, right? So it's important to understand that sometimes it's not about who you are, it's about where you are. And I hope where you are right now with me is a space that's allowing you to kind of redo that soil so you can plant your roots back in. So I'm excited for you. I'm so excited for you. I really am. The next one is educational health. Okay, so educational health, it's not about how smart you are or how intelligent you are. I know a lot of dumb smart people, right? So it's important to understand that intelligence is not defined as how, like your IQ, right? We talk about IQ, right? That's great. But some of the most intelligent people, some of the most smartest people I know are the most translatable. It doesn't matter where they are just translatable, and they can just adapt their space, their intelligence, their understanding of themselves in a way that makes them so relatable that you would never know what that person really is or who that person really is. Those type of people are some of those brilliant minds, you know, because they understand who they are, who they're not, who they're trying to be, who they could be. They understand who you are, who you're not, and who you're trying to be, and they try to meet you exactly where you are in your heart. Right? So educational health is focusing on how are you learning? What are you learning? What are you learning about yourself? What are you trying to learn? If you are not learning something right now, it is time to do that. I am always learning something. I'm always learning something outside of my comfort. I'm also learning something within my comfort. And I'm also learning something that can connect me with other people. So there's 3 things you have to learn. Something that you're comfortable with, something that you're not comfortable with, and something that can make you relatable. What are those things for you? Side quest. So try and figure that out. It's really important to have that discovery. Never lose the value of your discovery. It's so important. And sometimes you need to change your environmental health, see what I did there, to create a healthier educational experience. Sometimes it's not a degree, it's a discovery, right? Sometimes it's not a discovery, it's about a decision that you have to make about where you want to be so that you can have the relationship, social health, to feel seen and valued so you're not as stressed in emotional health. And then you actually take care of the person you present yourself to be, physical health. See how I connected all those together? That's how it works. It all connects. It all connects. Come on with me. Come on with me. Come on with me. Wait, let me get a drink real quick. I'm getting excited. I gotta calm down. I get excited. I get excited a lot. Okay. So I get so excited about you being here. Okay. The next one. This one's, I'm not saying it's sad, but it can get a little stressful, which is a good thing because remember, stress is a wellness currency, right? So, financial occupational health. Being a young lad that invested in education, my financial health and my occupational health was definitely living on a dream. So, I have truly allowed my dream to take over my financial and occupational health. And I actually live, breathe, and sleep this. So, occupationally speaking, I am living my passion, I'm living my purpose, and I'm living my empowerment, right? I am empowered with healing. I feel empowered to be able to talk about healing. I love this every single day. It makes me feel so good, right? It gives me a reason to wake up and it makes me feel like, oh, I'm supposed to be there for people today. That's it gives me joy, right? It makes me happy. And so when it comes to financial occupational health, we have to understand that sometimes your job, your career, and your purpose are 3 different lives. So the first thing is to ask yourself, am I living a life that says who I am? Am I living a life that makes me feel seen, right? Is the work that I'm doing aligned to who I am? And if you could say yes to that, the next question I'm going to ask you is a little harder, and it's, how much is that worth? So, whether I'm getting paid $1, I'm getting paid $1,000,000. I'm going to come with it the same level of intensity, intention, and accountability to the best of my ability at all times. I don't really care about the number. I care about, am I doing exactly everything I really want to do? Now, because I have done that type of devotional work, I do have a cost. And it does cost. And so I also understand that if I'm doing it for $1, I know that there's a purpose behind it. And I'm going to make sure that that purpose is fulfilled. And so there's a level of audacity that I'm willing to live by. And so this is really asking you about your audacity. Do you have the audacity to be who you are? And are you willing to do that? Now, people think that being an entrepreneur, first of all, I never wanted to be an entrepreneur. I don't even know what that even, I didn't know what that even meant. I was like, I don't know. I just know that this is what I have to do. And I realized that it paid for itself because I was relentless, because I loved it so much. But I also had a job at the same time. I had a job, I had a career, and I also had a purpose I was living. I was living all three things. And eventually, I worked hard enough to make it all the same thing. But I understand that we all have to make sacrifices. And so you have to use your educational health to understand, how can I make this a process for me? You have to learn how to make these three things one life. And then eventually I put myself in the right environment to be seen that way and to be celebrated in that way. And then I'm celebrating with people that also honor who I am, social health. And then I create emotional health where I don't feel as stressed anymore. And it's a good stress where I care about how I'm doing things. And then I actually cared about my body because I realized that my body had to honor the lifestyle that I had to live. See how I did that again? Right? So then we go into family health. Now, let me take a drink for this one. Let me just get some water and breathe on this one because sometimes you got to breathe it out. Say it with me. I'm going to breathe this out. I'm going to breathe this out. Mm-hmm. So, family health isn't about who all going to be there. Family health is about understanding, what is the origin of my family? How did my family come to be? How did we get here? For some cultures, that might be really easy. For some, it might be arduous because so many blended families, right? We all have a story. So there's three stories we have so far that I see. If you have some other stories, other subcategories, please put them in the chat so I can read them too. So one, I have my story. What's my story? How did I become Dr. Will up to this point? Before I was Bowtie Willie, and then I was Cornbread Washington, then I was Billy, then I was Jub Jub, and I was a whole bunch of other names that I'm never gonna say live. I can't believe I just said this out loud. We're gonna keep going though. Woo! So I have a lot of names, right? And that's my story. Then you have your family story. So the family that represents you, who you represent, where you come from, right? You have that story. Then you have an ancestral story, the story that you may not really know, but you feel like is really a part of you because you feel so connected to it. And the thing about ancestral stories is that it's a bunch of different cultures. You don't have one side, one set of culture of stories, right? And it goes so far back. Some of us can navigate that and some of us can't. And so it's important to understand, what ancestries do you adopt in your life and what are you understanding in your process, right? It helps you understand your way. In Afrofuturism, there's a retrieval process to that, right? We have a retrieval, right? And so it's important to understand that we might connect different things in our lives to understand our story. So the question that you have for this side quest, is, what are the stories I come from? Where are the stories that I come from, right? So it's important to understand that your health is understanding where you come from and why you come from it and how you've come from it and where are you going with it. Rewind that, write that down, side quest. Okay? Then you have the last one, number 8, which is spiritual health. Spiritual health. Now, this is a big one. I'm not just talking about religion either, right? In religion, we have a dogmatic practice. We have these type of ideologies and these beliefs that we all live by to create community and oneness that connects to a higher purpose or a higher entity. And in spirituality, there's a level of connection between, inner, outer, upper, downer, other planes, astral planes, ascension, right? There's all these different connections and options and avenues and pathways that is just expansive, just completely expansive. And it's so important that we understand that there's a way of life. There's a way of being. There's a way of being shown. And sometimes those processes aren't always good, bad, right, wrong. Sometimes it can be hurtful, right? And so it's important to understand that in your spiritual journey, the question I'm asking you, SideQuest, is how do I make meaning out of life? So, how do you make meaning out of life? The second level to that is what am I creating to be myself? And then the foundational question, which is what I was gonna say, was what do you want to be known for? So these things that you do, these three questions are gonna help understand how do you make meaning out of life, right? Before in Reset, we talk about the three worlds, right? You have the world, which is that homeostasis, right? Then you have the relationship, and then you have self. Well, what do you want to be known for in all three of those worlds, SideQuest? That's important. It's important to understand that. And so when you start understanding those things, you start really connecting to what your story is, family health. And then once you finally understand the stories of which you come from, you realize that the way that you work and you make yourself um, functional in those three realms is an occupation or a financial health, right? And then you end up creating this learning process and you're learning how you're making meaning, educational health. And then while you're learning those things about yourself, you create an environmental space that honors who you are, social health, environmental health. And then you realize that the stress that you're experiencing is connected to a larger purpose, that the stress that you're experiencing is a lesson and not a loss. Sometimes we are going through things because we are getting a lesson. And someone very special to me said, some lessons are taught and some lessons are bought. So some cost. All right. So, and then we understand that there is a stress that has to have meaning to it. And then we understand that our bodies are only the beginning of something so much greater. And so your body is put through these experiences that help you learn yourself, grow yourself, love yourself, lose yourself, find yourself. And so it's important to understand that we have a purpose. We also have a motive. We also have an awakening. We also have a moment of rest. And so I hope that this awareness brings you to the forefront of liberation. Healing is a process of liberation. Liberation is the process of healing. To me, they're very interchangeable. They're very much the same. So, how are you liberating yourself today? And how are you healing yourself today? So, I hope that that makes sense. So, today, we went through all 8 healing modalities. We went through them all. I gave a bunch of side quests. And I'm hoping that you take these side quests and you start thinking about yourself in this way. So now you can take that pie chart, right, or the 9 squares, and you can answer all these questions in there. How are you taking care of yourself in all these spaces, right? And then in the middle, it's you. Well, you know what? We're going to wait on that one because we're not there yet. So we're going to leave that middle one blank, where it's the YOU, right? Why your own you understanding. YOU, your own understanding, right? So we have to create your own world, which will happen. So I really hope today was a lot of information, but what it does for Reset is it gives us a chance to have that conversation. And for those of you that are in my more exclusive spaces, we have wellness assessment surveys for you. And if you're interested in becoming a part of that and getting your own wellness assessment tool so you can start having that conversation, you're more than welcome to join. I love the fellowship. I love creating spaces, and we do literally have healing talks about this specifically. So you get to go through all 8 healing modalities. You get to understand the language and the processing of it all. And then I give you 3 interventions for each healing modality, which means that you walk out of that space with 24 decisions about your life to make healing a lifestyle. Because remember, we're trying to erase that line and make this a path. We need to make healing a lifestyle, and this is the foundation to that space. So, I'm so proud that you made it this far. I'm happy that you're here. If you have to go back and come back, that's the whole point of this. So I want you to understand that getting your healing reps in is very important. Get your healing reps in, all right? So be kind to yourself and heal always.